It's easy to look at the wall of seeds at the store or look at a giant seed catalog and feel either entirely overwhelmed or like you want to grow everything, and neither one of those things is really going to be sustainable for you. So today I want to share with you how I decide what to grow and kind of the simple system that I use for deciding what is worth my time and what isn't, even if everything looks amazing. And this isn't going to be just a list of these are the plants that you should have, because I don't believe that there is a single list of things that are like technically best. I am very suspicious of anybody who says that like these are the best plants for beginners. There are a lot of things that are good suggestions for beginners, but all of it really depends on what your personal goals are. And so the system that I'm going to show you, I think that you can repurpose and align with your own goals in order to make really good decisions that are really specific to you and your garden. So when I was first starting out, I would look at the seed catalog and I would see like some of these seed catalogs have like 50 different tomato varieties. And it's like, how do you even decide what you want to grow in your garden? And so maybe like me, you end up making a decision based on what looks pretty, or maybe you decide not to decide and you get a whole bunch more than maybe you can realistically plant. And then maybe also like me, you end up just a little bit disappointed with the results. And so I think one of the biggest mistakes that I would make, especially early on, is that I would grow things that I don't necessarily even eat. There's kind of like this checklist of things that gardeners grow, and for some reason radishes is on that list. And you know, you get the seeds and you grow them, and then you realize, how do you eat a radish? Like, what do you even do with it? One of my most popular videos that I've ever made is about how to eat radishes, because so many people grow them without thinking about how they're going to use them first. And so the biggest difference for me really started when I started having clear goals as a gardener. I actually kind of knew what I wanted out of gardening and started making my decisions based on that. And I know that it sounds really stupid simple when you say it out loud like that, but honestly, taking the time to slow down and think about why you're growing a garden, what you want out of it, is really, really important. So for me, two of my biggest goals are growing edible plants, growing my own food, and also growing exciting things, growing fun things, and actually getting to try things that you can't buy in stores. And so because of this, everything that I grow these days tends to fall, not always, but for the most part, will fall into one of 4 categories. And I'm going to go over these with you, and I'm also going to show you some examples of what that looks like from the seeds that I just got started for the year. So because growing food is so important to me, the very first category of stuff that I grow is things that are reliable producers. So some examples of things like this that I grow in my garden: I have the Buena Mulata pepper. It's a hot pepper. It's really early, so it's one of the first hot peppers that I can harvest in the summer, and it has just performed for me really, really well every single year. So I keep growing it in case some of the more niche varieties don't pan out, which does happen. I have my Amish paste tomato. I am very much a sauce tomato person, and the Amish paste, again, I've been growing this since my 2nd year gardening, I think, and it continues to just perform really well for me, and so I don't mess with that. Another really good one is my Ajvarski pepper. This was one of the first peppers that I ever grew, and I just happened to hit on one that was a really, really good fit for my garden. And I've actually tried a bunch of different varieties in the recent years, and none of them have really compared, so I'm going back to it. Another really good sweet pepper is Jupiter. You can see I wrote on here, OMG, love. It performed so well for me last year that I think it might become a staple. And then in the herb category, Emily basil is very much my go-to for pesto and everything basil throughout the summer. This is still the original packet that I got back in the day. This is packed for 2021, and I'm still using it. It's still going great. So the second category that I really look for is flavor. If I'm going to be growing food, I want to really enjoy it, and I want to use what I'm growing to really enhance the meals that I'm making all the time out of my garden. And so some things, even if they're not high producers, can still be useful to me because of the flavor component and what they add. And sometimes they are also really good producers. So an example of this is my Nagasaki long eggplant. This is another one that I've been growing kind of since the beginning. And I really thought I could improve on it. I've tried a bunch of different varieties, and I just keep coming back to that one. Because it has been all around very useful for me. I can roast it, I can stir fry it, I never have to peel it, it is always tender. It's just been great all around. I also grow Tabasco peppers, specifically to make Tabasco sauce, and that is a lot of work for not a lot of sauce. You need to grow a ton of peppers to make a bottle of sauce, it turns out, but it's still really worth it to me because the flavor is just so far and beyond what you can buy at the store. And my last example in this category is also another pepper. I grow this trio of peppers specifically for chili, and I got this chili powder recipe from another YouTuber, which I can link down below. Her recipes are amazing. And I was so inspired by that recipe that I wanted to start growing the peppers that I needed to make the chili powder to make her chili recipe. And so this trio is Ancho, Chile de Arbol, and Guajillo peppers. And these, again, it is really high effort. It's really tough to actually go through the process of growing your own pepper and then drying it and then making it into a powder to then make into a chili. But the flavor is so worth it to me. And so as we're going through this, if you are finding that this goals first into decision making process makes a lot of sense to you, if that resonates with you, then I highly recommend that you check out my free YouTube course. I'll link it down below, but it is entirely free. It is entirely here on YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere for it. And basically I lead you through the garden planning process. There's a really strong emphasis on goals and making sure that you really understand what you want out of the experience before then it leads you through how to use that information to make all of these decisions in your garden. And everything, I think, is a lot clearer than it might be if you were trying to kind of fumble through it on your own. This is especially good for beginners, but also if you've been gardening for a few years and you just want some more clarity on just the direction that you're going in and the decisions that you're making, I think you're going to find it very worth it. All right, so the third category is going to be more practical. It is long-term storage, preservation. If something is going to last a long time, that's going to help me with my personal goals of building a garden that feeds me year-round. And so two good examples of this are my San Marzano tomato. Again, this is another paste tomato. It is a really, really good sauce tomato. And sauce is one of those major things that I do to preserve my tomatoes. And the other major thing I do to preserve my tomatoes is what I do with my Borghese tomatoes. And you can see I've been saving seeds from them. These are the best sun-dried tomato seeds, sun-dried tomato plants I have ever grown. I've struggled with sun-dried tomatoes from other varieties in the past. I couldn't get the flavor quite right. They were kind of hard to dry and also just very flat in flavor. And the Borghese, which is a variety that's intended for sun drying, just absolutely blows them all out of the water. And sun-dried tomatoes can keep for like an entire year. So this is absolutely indispensable in my garden, especially when I'm thinking about the long-term preservation. All right, and so lastly, the category that I'm looking for is a little bit more flexible. This fourth category is experimentation and fun, because again, that's important to me. And so things that I have in this category, I have this thing called spicy globe bush basil. It's a type of basil that I might not have thought to grow. It actually came for free with one of my orders, but I think it sounds really fun and I would like to see if there is a place for it in my garden. And so I like to make space for you know, fun things that maybe I didn't even really expect. Another one that I'm looking at this year is Long Keeper. This is a storage tomato, and so it will store whole, fresh at room temperature longer than other tomatoes, supposedly. And if that is true, that would help me further my goal of, you know, preservation. And so this right now is an experiment, but it might end up kind of fitting into one of the other categories later. And lastly, I have elephant's ear peppers. This is another like a big sweet pepper, and I'm really just trying to round out the varieties of big sweet peppers that I grow so that I have like a solid 3 or 4 varieties that I can grow every single year and really rely on. Right now I just have maybe the 2, which is the Jupiter and the Ajvarski, but I would like to have just a couple more for some variety. And you know, if you've been following me for any length of time, you'll know that I will often go to plant sales and I will see something cool and I will just pick it up because it seems cool, and I think it's important to leave yourself space for stuff like that if you are that kind of person. So again, I really do just want to impress upon you that this is supposed to be your system. I want you to think about what sorts of goals you have and maybe make a list of 4 or 5 different categories that you think you could fit some seeds into so that you can actually kind of give yourself a framework to make these decisions in your garden, and you can feel way less of that overwhelm. All right, and so just as a reminder, if you want me to lead you through the process of garden planning or clarifying your reasons for gardening, then check out the link down below to take my free course. And also, if you want a full list of every variety that I am starting this year, because it's a huge list and I can't fit it all in this video, but if you are a nerd about that kind of stuff and you're curious, I will leave the list down below in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.